Right,
Ladies
there
and
we go.
gentlemen, welcome. I don't know why I did it like that.
To Zamunda.
Zamunda. It is your boy Shaun Q, my partner, like always.
Jay Roman.
Together we are OSP, Old School Perspective. So we might as well jump right into what's popping.
Obviously.
What is popping is a movie that we loved that came out almost 30 years ago. It's been like 25, 30 years since this movie came out.
Really long time, yep.
And they finally made a sequel. We are talking about Coming to America 2. And I saw it the night it came out. You have recently seen it. What did you think? How'd you feel about it? How'd you feel about it, Jay Roman?
You know, I have mixed feelings. I don't know how to explain it because I laughed a lot.
Okay.
But a lot of times while I laughed, all I could think is, this is not good. But it made me laugh a lot. So I give it that credit. I like it in, comedy, but I felt like storyline, it was trite because this is the only way we can do a story like that. Of course, someone from the past comes back or something like that. The people they brought in, though, I'll take that. I loved Wesley Snipes, the most well-endowed man in all of it. Was it Zamunda or Africa?
All of it. They had to have Michael Blackson, of all people, do that too. Michael Blackson had to be the one they would do.
Oh yeah, perfect. As soon as we saw him, like, of course he's in this. You know what I mean? So
they had the blackest man in Hollywood introduce the blackest man in Hollywood. So
speaking of him real quick, I saw a funny post about after the Oprah Winfrey interview that just happened, that's blown up, talked about we see this and it's like the little white kid that Meghan Markle and Prince whoever has, and then the royals see him. It's so funny.
All they see is black ass Michael Blackson. I can't get jiggy with this shit. He's on John Blaze.
Oh my gosh.
So in the beginning, when the first half, I'm like, I don't like it. Because like you said, the story was predictable. And I agree with a lot of people who were like, yeah, the story's predictable. It's going the way we thought it would go. And it seemed real PG-13 to me. But the more by the end of it, I was good. I liked it. I liked that they paid homage to the original. I liked that they did their best to get every character from the original in the new one. I liked the new comedians they had in it. Mm-hmm. And then the more I hear about some of the choices Eddie Murphy was making, I like the way they went. Like the original plan was for Tracy Morgan to be his son. And he was like, Tracy's only like 7 years younger than me. Can Tracy? He goes, so as we're going through this, I'm like, man, can Tracy be my son? Tracy, we got to get somebody else. Yeah, no. That one. And he was going to play General Izzy. And then it was like Wesley Snipes. He was going to play General Izzy, but then after they did My Name is Dolomite, he was like, Wesley, I want Wesley in this movie. It's got to happen. He goes, and it was great because Wesley fucking killed it. But as I'm watching the movie, I'm just like, you know what? I started to appreciate it for what it was because that's one of the great movies from our it's a cult classic. Yeah. It's one of the great movies from our childhood. It was easy to be in the beginning to pick it apart and be like, well, this ain't the same. Well, why do you got they're doing the Irishman thing where I got to believe that that's their young ass faces, like shit like that. But then once you appreciate a few things, one, it was the best way you could have a sequel in today's cinema. Because in today's cinema, with everybody being as sensitive as they are, with everybody wanting to be involved and incorporated, and you can only say so much. There's a lot of shit you can't say and can't do and can't get away with. I feel like they did a very good job of modernizing it. They did a very good job of paying homage to the original. And I was just happy to see all these black actors and actresses still alive and surviving fucking 2020. That was the most important part. Once you get past the movie, you're like, dude, I'm just happy to see that they all got to do a movie together. The fact that James Earl Jones was in it was dope as shit to me. Like, thank God. You know what I mean? Like, good. So at that point, then I was just like, you know what? I like it. I'm not mad at it. I didn't hate it. It's not my favorite. It's not a top, but for a sequel that was 30 years in the making, I liked it. I was cool.
I'll give it the little love that I did have for it, because I was laughing a lot, right? And like you said, the fact that so many characters came back, and some of them I hadn't seen for a long time or didn't realize I'd been watching them, you know what I mean? And then Leslie Jones killed it. she was so perfect. You know what I mean? It just reminds you of people in my own family. You know what I mean? Just from the area, Queens especially. You know, and stuff like that. It's just they like you said, they had really good comedians. Ow, sorry, I just hit the shit out of my foot. It hurts. Ow.
It's gonna be broken for weeks.
I was wondering how they were gonna do the past, bring it back past. And what was cool is, and Veltria said this, she was glad that they did a lot of the past clips because she has forgotten a lot of that movie.
Right.
Because when she was younger, they weren't really allowed to watch those movies. They were too harsh. They were, and they were in a I guess you could say nicer household where they didn't allow movies like that. Whereas like I remember at 5, 6, 7 years old, whatever it was, and it's like, yes, fuck you too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I just remember that. And so I can appreciate the toned down part of it. My little girl could have watched it. She would have had a ton of questions, but she could have watched it because there was hardly any cussing.
Yeah, and it was colorful. It was bright. It was there was
dance.
It was like almost, if you do it almost not shot for shot, but if you compare the stories, it was almost Black Panther, but in comedic version. Like it was a new king. You know what I mean? It was his warrior daughters could have been like his security.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was based, and it was a beautiful palace. Like it was just I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
And I did notice, and I don't know if we talked about on the podcast, but this past year of so many Black people on TV and in movies, commercials, shows, whatever it is, voiceovers, and you know who they are. It's been amazing because for so long we've tried to see this representation, and the fact that they have now demonstrated there are thousands of great Black actors out there, and they hold their own in every genre is so great that we can see that because we can finally like relate a little bit more. Granted, I got to see more Latinos in part of it because I'm like, wow, I don't get to see like any Puerto Rican stuff going on, and I haven't really seen anything, with Puerto Ricans come in for a while. And again, we have that same, like, we're either the lover boy or we're the thug or the gangster type shit all the time.
You're the dancer.
Or the dancer.
You guys can dance.
So it's like, can we get a little more representation? I'll jump in a movie. I don't know if I can really like hold my own, but I'll be, on the side like, so
I will steal roles from good young Puerto Rican actors and act like I'm Puerto Rican if it helps.
See, you can't do that anymore. You can't do
it. I know you can't. I can't jump and never like, see. I can't do that. No, I can't.
So I love that part.
So on this episode, we wanted to get in something. We were talking about the latest episode of Blackish that I saw. I know Vel saw it. I don't know if you had a chance to see it.
Not yet.
The question came up. His Anthony Anderson's daughter on the show. She had an assignment at school and had to do an assignment on a dying culture, and she decided to do it on hip hop, and it was like breaking his heart. Like hip hop's not dead. And so we started to chop it up a little bit and discuss it. And we wanted to discuss it on here. We wanted to bring in a friend of ours, our good friend, DJ Dvious, who was recently out of retirement. He's an old school DJ. We want to have him weigh in on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in Mr. Dvious and have him chop it up with us. All right? Bet. We would like to welcome in DJ Dvious. DJ, welcome to the show, sir. Say what's up to the OSP fam.
What up, OSP? How y'all doing?
Good.
We are happy to finally get you in here. We were going to get into a topic, but first we want to give the people a little bit of background on you. I've known you for a few years. I know you've been DJing for how long? You been DJing? 27,
I've been DJing since milk crates, man. Back they started in high school, so back in 1990. Went to the ditching parties and fell in love with it ever since, and so I've just been at it ever since.
Nice. I'm loving that shirt, man. I really, really am. I loved the idea of Mixwell when it first hit. And I love, as you just told me before we started even recording, that they're making a comeback. I'm all about it, man. Granted, I hope they don't start charging $65 for a T-shirt, because then I'm not about it.
Well, you got to start somewhere, and then hopefully eventually the prices do go down. They're a little pricey right now, but they'll get their name back out there again, and then
it just seems like Rock the Bells just came out with clothing, and their hoodie is like $150. I'm like,
$150.
Who are you selling to? Yeah. I can't buy that. I've been to every Rock the Bells except 3, I think, and I can't afford that, man. I don't know.
I mean, how about putting out a concert before you put out some $150
Well,
sweatshirts?
that's the thing. They went down because it wasn't sustainable. They got too big for their britches. So that's how I felt about that.
So you just recently came out of retirement. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I retired back in November 2019. Thought I was done with it. Had some family issues that I needed to take care of, and so I was like, you know what, I'm pushing an old age. So, you know, so you know what, I was like, you know what, and I got a new career going, and so I was like, I'm gonna put DJing. You know, I'm done. And then COVID hit, and was listening to some new artists that were coming out, some new music, and just something just kicked, something just ignited, and like, started dabbling with a few songs here and there, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm done.
Nice.
Maybe I just needed that little break and just kind of reset the fire, and had a brief appearance in 2020 when the bars were open again,
Right.
and then faded away again. But yeah, coming back, hopefully to a new venue if it's in the works. But if not, I'm back at Zings for a few nights, working on a mixtape, actually getting ready to put it out. There's still some stuff that I need to put out in there and edit some few things here and there. But yeah, coming back, man.
Dope.
I love it.
Now
I was just asking Shaun about if you have a tape I can listen to prior, because I noticed when we were at the Accelerated Radio show, we have very similar tastes, you and I.
Right.
We were always talking about what songs were being played, like, oh, that's dope, that's dope. And we also agreed at the same time when we didn't like something. So I was like, I would love to see what you mix up, but I love the fact that you're back like that. So I can't wait to see how that happens. We will feature it. Just give it to us. And I don't mean give it to me. I tell, just like Shaun, I will pay for the CD, man. I'm not that friend that's like, yo, hook me up for free. What's that going to get you? I want to pay, man. Just tell me how much it costs. I'm gonna buy it. You know what I mean?
Actually, this one is like, I'm not even really going to charge for it. Like, I just, hey, you just throw it out there. Just
that's what's up. That's what's up.
Just throw it out there. Just and it's actually going to a mix CD of just people, like songs that people forgot. Those party hits. Those don't get me wrong. There's some stuff out now that some of it's good, but the old songs, that some of the old school stuff that actually got everybody jumping, no matter what age you were. And then there's some remixes in there that that may should I say trip you out, some stuff that I did back in the day when I could honestly say there's probably one person that actually knows Sippy. I mean, he was with me everywhere. So like he heard some of the stuff, that I would come up with and inside the room or just on the moment at the spot, at the club, and got everybody going, So I'm like, I'm gonna throw that in the mix. So.
Nice.
I remember those Zing days. I remember being behind the bar and I'm like, cool, man, Dvious is spinning. I'm gonna have a good night. And we would have those moments. We'd look, I'm like, oh, you got okay, all right, I see you.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Give me like three. Who were some of the artists that you heard, like the newer artists you heard? Because Jay and I talk about all the time where hip hop is at, which is what we're gonna get into. But give me like three new artists you heard that kind of sparked that for you, that you were like, you know what, I got to get back on the ones and twos.
And you know what? Surprisingly, a couple of female artists actually. Megan Thee Stallion, like she's just killing it right now, man. Like, she's raw. She's she's bringing back that that raw hard, not necessarily hardcore, but like just I don't care what you guys think about me, what you guys think about my sexuality, just that Little Kim almost, just that that influence that that you can see that influence in her. And there's actually a few artists actually, the Baby and Roddy Ricch actually, they have kind of brought like almost getting back to that old like the old hip hop where you understand what they're saying,
Well,
you know, and just talking about life, just talking about stuff that realistic life that they're that someone can actually do, or in their spot. Um, so some of these other artists out there, I'm just like, man, it really.
yeah. I mean, I'm like that all the time. Like, this is what you put out. All right.
Yeah, so it's just like it's. I mean, I get it. You got to appeal to the younger crowd, the younger generation that's coming up. But at the same time, like, yo, there's way more artists out there that that can blow up.
Yeah.
Just give them the chance, and a couple of local artists, that I'm feeling right now is a boy named Little Vada, and Big Mosaic Music, man. Rum and Interludes, like these guys are killing it on their albums, and it's like it's just a minute before people actually realize who these cats are, and
right.
Man, hopefully they can put West Coast back on the map.
Nice. Jay had a question about one song. All I need is one song.
So I think you're talking about my favorite song thing, where I had a question like, is there a song that no matter what, the crowd, the day, no matter what, you sneak in? Like, whether it's a little bit of snippet of the beat or the whole thing, because I'm gonna tell you what mine is. I've never DJ'd. I've always wanted to, right? And I still to this day think one day I'm gonna get turntables. I'm just do it. I don't care if I'm 50, 60, I'm just gonna do it. I would always try and sneak in if I could Scenario, because no song in this world gets me as hype as Scenario. As soon as I hear the doom, 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 it's like I start looking around like, who's about to jump with me? Because it's about to go out. And so is there a song you have like that you like, what, I'm gonna put this in every time? Because I would.
You know what, I actually have a few that I have to play, and either it's the beginning of the night, end of the night, middle of the set, like it's I have to play it. One is Ludacris, Move Big. Another one is Paperboy, Diddy.
Okay.
I for some reason it's just, I don't know if there's just something back in the 90s when not only was I DJing, but I was also tagging, hitting up the walls, but like that was in my headphones, that was when I'm painting, like that was in my headphones. And if anyone's been to Zings like back in the early 2000s, the end of the night, it would be Eddie Murphy's Party All the Time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very fitting considering we just saw like Coming to America. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did. I mixed reviews on it. I liked it. It was good to see the whole cast. I'm glad they brought back everyone, and the new people that they brought in too. Just kind of felt like it was like Disney's first R-rated picture, but it was good.
Good way to put it.
In your three songs that you picked, the one that I think would apply from when it came out to us now is Older Guys, because I still work in bars and nightclubs. If there is one song out of those three that applies now, especially since we're older, it's Move Bitch, Get Out the Way. When that comes on, you just like, get the fuck. You know what it reminds me of? I think about that episode of Martin where he wanted to go to the club with Gina and he got his drink and the dude was bumping into him. He's like, yo, my man, like, Move Bitch is the perfect, like, yo, can I fucking get through here song? Like, that's perfect. I love that.
And that one, like, that track, like, I can throw so many remixes behind it. I can throw different beats behind it. It's like, it just flows so well with other tracks, that it's just, I get it in there somehow. Either with the original beat behind it, either with the Dougie beat behind it, with just like I'm throwing something behind it.
We are gonna take a quick break. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, I just love that intro right there. We are back. Welcome back. We are being joined by DJ Dvious, and we were talking about how Bell and I we watched the latest episode of Blackish, and on Blackish, the last episode, they asked the girl to do a report on a dying culture, and her report was on hip hop. And Anthony Anderson's character was like, hip hop is not dead. You got to be fucking kidding me. We wanted to pose that question to you. You, who someone who has been in the crates for a long time, you recently returned. You've seen crowds, younger crowds, older crowds. I've seen you rock a crowd of old white ladies. Do you feel like Nas said, do you think hip hop is dead?
I feel like hip hop doesn't even know what its status is right now. Like, you know, in my opinion, I think hip hop was on a hiatus. It's just, I mean, with the new artists that are out right now, you know, like the 6ix9ine, the Little Nas X. Actually, I like him. Actually, I like some of his songs. But the way that hip hop's going right now, it's like it's kind of just like in a limbo state right now. You know, you have these West Coast artists that are trying to keep it alive. You know, YG and you know Tiger and all them. They're trying to keep it alive, but it's just stuck right now. It's just you know, and unfortunately, I feel it's going to be that way for a while until someone actually decides to switch up the whole game. You know, same thing with DJing. Like I just feel like it's just, you know, if you go to the elements of hip hop, like, you know, the DJing is one of them. It's stuck right now. You know, like you don't really see that many DJs out there now with turntables because they, you know, the controllers are out. It's the new easiest thing to do. It's lighter. It's easier to carry. I mean,
you can mix MP3s.
You can mix exactly. I mean, you could walk around the store DJing. You know, if you set up the gig right, you can walk around the store. You can do it in your car. You know, the whole to me the whole element of hip hop is just kind of just stuck right now.
Now,
go ahead, Shaun. Go ahead, Shaun.
Keeping in mind that hip hop, the original forms of hip hop, there was 3 elements, and like you said, like DJing, I put in there. There's breaking, which is the dancing. There's graffiti, which also ties in with clothing, how we dress is hip hop, how we the tagging graffiti was hip hop, and then obviously there's rhyming and DJing. So if you were to take those elements, I was saying to Jay at some point, outside of like Mark Echo with the clothing line and and most artists now are like, they're artists. They don't consider themselves to be graffiti artists. They consider themselves to be just artists in general. I feel like the only phase of hip hop that has kind of faded is the graffiti, because now people aren't really, not that they're not tagging on walls anymore, but now they're doing it and they're getting paid for it. They're like, all right, this is a piece I've done for this. It's not what it used to. There's no rebel movement in it. You're not really speaking your voice. If you're not just that you're getting paid to do it, I'm glad you're getting paid, but I don't feel like graffiti is the same. Dance, I feel like hip hop with breaking and popping, that was like for a good 20 years. Because I know they're bringing breaking to the Olympics, but for a good like 20 years, like that's something everybody wanted to do. But at the same time, I feel like hip hop dance, people were still dancing. When you look at House Party, when you look at what MC Hammer was doing, dancing has been a part of hip hop for a long time. Unfortunately, if anything killed dance as far as hip hop goes, it would be TikTok. Like, I'm being dead ass. I feel like
you're absolutely right though.
Ruined the dance part of hip hop. So I feel like to say hip hop is in limbo makes sense because parts of it are slowly dying off or being oversaturated that it can never return to its pure, truest form. But as far as the music goes, I feel like there's always been some form of trash in hip hop. It's every genre. Because for every KRS-One, you get a Vanilla Ice. You know what I mean? Like there's always been a form of trash. Unfortunately, because we can see anybody in the world provide us with a freestyle or with a rhyme or with a rap or with a beat, whatever the fuck. Now everybody has access to a way to get their music out there. We are seeing a lot more of the trash and a lot less of the good. I don't think that necessarily means it's dead. To say limbo makes sense, but that's just because the good has to compete with so much trash that's being fucking put out there.
Yeah, so, and that's.
Go ahead.
That's the tough part, and we've talked about this before. There is so much trash out there, and you touched on a point, Dvious, where you were talking about the limbo part, because where is it going? Who's going to bring it back? So one thing I'm going to touch on with that is, for one, I got my big shirt on. Okay, so I know I've worn it before for a podcast before, but also, and I'm only bringing this up just to kind of make this point. I don't usually celebrate death days. All right, so we are post March 9th, which now means 24 years Biggie has been dead. For those who can't really put that in perspective, Biggie has now been dead as long as he was alive. Okay, so, and we are getting older. We are kids. We are adults that grew up in hip hop. We are as old as hip hop, maybe not exactly to the age, but we are hip hop, right? So,
right.
The fact that now this man who everyone credits, and granted, I give more credit to others as well, like Wu-Tang and all that, because they were doing it too. But everyone credits Big with bringing back the East.
Right.
Right. So you have these cats who are trying to keep the West Coast alive. Who on the East is trying to do their thing, because the South took over a long time ago. And then you have, whoever all over the place. Miami's doing a lot of stuff right now. But it's like, who have you seen? I mean, you were saying the Baby and a few of these guys that have kind of caught on some tunes. Is there anybody you feel like that can take it over? Like that can come back out? Because, we're not going to get into him too much, because I think he's an episode in his own. But Eminem is staying afloat, and he's very relevant. And in fact, this whole cancel culture trying to get at him, you can do what you want, but the man just became the first one to have 1 billion streams of a song.
Right.
1 billion. Granted, that could be, 10,000 of them for me, because I love the songs he puts out, but you know what I mean? But he's the first man. So you're trying to cancel this man who has this many followings or followers, but no one's going to be able to take that from. But who's going to really seize that mantle? Because we thought maybe it was going to be J. Cole, but he kind of doesn't want it like that.
Right.
We definitely know Kendrick, but Kendrick's kind of, I love the fact that these guys aren't people who put out albums every year, because I don't want to get oversaturated by them.
Right.
But I want them to then also be like, I'm the king.
Right.
This is mine. Like Nas did, like Jay did, like all these cats did back in the day. Like, this is mine. You have to come through me. M did that shit. Jay did that shit. Dre does that shit. Snoop did it for a while. I want somebody like that. Someone who's just gonna
Exactly. In response to that, Kendrick has said it before. Kendrick has done it. Kendrick has been on a Big Sean song and said, "Fuck all you niggas." Like I am. This is my shit. Come take it from me. I think the problem is, when Big was saying it, when Pac was saying it, when Jay was saying it, people didn't get access to as much music from around the world as they do now. Exactly. So it's harder to say, come take this from me. I'm the one on the radio. I'm the one spitting the hot verses, because everybody's on the fucking radio. Everybody's music can get streamed. So it's hard to say you're the king when everybody's wearing a fucking crown.
Exactly. And it's like, just like you said, back then music was harder to get. Now it's like you go on YouTube and it's like
that's true.
It's like the 90s when you're getting pointed at every single 5 seconds, bloop bloop, pop-up ads. Now you're getting like these wannabe rappers that that are just saturating hip hop, and it's like next thing you know, that every 5 seconds there's a new little somebody. And it's like, really?
Little or wide or young.
Little whatever. And it's like, come on, man. Like, and you hope, like, okay, let's see what you got. Okay, you sound just like the last person that,
Yeah.
So, and I mean, them going after M, I don't know. I don't think they know what they're doing, man. Like, that boy will cut you up and won't even. I mean, y'all saw what he did to Mariah Carey. Like, he didn't even care. That's Mariah Carey. And she cut that bitch up like she was nothing.
Well, yes and no. Mariah has her fans, and she cut her own stuff too. So I get what you're saying. Though.
His point is like, I don't care who you are. He went after Dana White.
Yeah.
Well, that was acting. That was acting though.
Yeah, but he has that. Like his personality is, I don't care who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Went after Trump. Don't care. And it's like
we're talking about a guy who kicked MGK out of rap. The dude switched up.
Exactly.
He kicked this motherfucker out the genre. I mean, like that's insane. But to touch on the cancel culture part, because you're about to return out of retirement. So are there artists that you have decided that you want to, like, questionable artists that you're going to stray away from, or that you're going to try to avoid playing because of controversy with them, like R. Kelly, like MJ? Like, how are you gonna approach your DJing style with these younger people?
There's MJ's has always been a controversy, no matter like who you're playing for. Someone's always gonna be like, oh, you know what, I don't like him because he did this. It's the same thing with Kobe. Some people, oh, I didn't like him because of he raped the girl back in Denver. R. Kelly because he pissed on his mama or something like that. It's like
pissed on someone's mama.
Right. Everyone's gonna have some kind of opinion on who you play. Will I stray away from them? I don't think I can. Especially R. Kelly and MJ, just because. I mean, they had some hits. I mean, you can't. Yes, they did some stuff. But you can't deny the music that they put out at that time when everyone was feeling them. I mean, those were some hits.
Yeah.
He brought back that two-step. And it's like, it's like, I mean, you throw that at any party, it's gonna jump. You're gonna have the whole. You can. That's one song. You can get the whole club dancing in rhythm, and and it's like, I mean, love it or hate it. I mean, it's gonna catch your ear and it's gonna make you dance. Same thing with MJ, his 70s stuff, his 80s stuff. Same thing. It's gonna make people dance, and they're gonna forget what happened to what he did or what happened with him or whatever the case is.
Especially if they're drinking.
I think exactly, especially if they're drinking. I think nowadays, I think it's more of the new people that I feel a lot of DJs will probably stray away. I know, for instance, for me, Kodak Black, I haven't played a hit from him since I couldn't even tell you, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
What exactly did he do again?
Because he
like, I don't even know who he is, and all of a sudden he got
Lauren. Who was he? Lauren London. He disrespected Nipsey, so the whole West Coast was like, "Oh, fuck Kodak Black. We don't want to hear his shit anymore." All the radio stations on the West Coast didn't play him anymore. DJs
that makes sense to me.
Like, they weren't going to play him anymore. But again, that's more of the culture thing. But if you're going more for like what R. Kelly, the sexual allegations and all that, something that's more touching, more of a sensitive subject. I mean, people are still going to play him. I'm still going to play him. Maybe one or two songs, but no matter what, people are still going to know his songs. They're still going to love his music. And just like you said, especially if they're drinking.
Right. I tell people when they ask, like, if I'm at work and if I'm like, I'm gonna play some MJ on the jukebox, and somebody's like, what he did was messed up. I'm like, first of all, they're allegations. Second of all, I'm playing Jackson 5. The nigga was 10. He wouldn't touch no little boys when he was 10. And I said to this day, people don't really get, as much as Gen Z is trying to cancel everybody, in reality, nobody actually gets canceled, because they're like, well, R. Kelly got canceled. No, R. Kelly went to jail. Well, Bill Cosby got canceled. Bill Cosby went to jail. Like, you can still find their work in a bunch of places. You can find Cosby Show. You can find R. Kelly music, all kinds of places. They didn't cancel them. They just disappeared from the spotlight. You didn't actually cancel anybody. Nobody actually gets canceled. So it's funny when they say that. And I mean, to try to cancel Eminem is hilarious to me. And when I heard the song that they did it for, I'm like, the song with Rihanna? Have you not heard literally every other Eminem song ever?
Yes. My thing with it, what the point you make with the M and stuff like that. So here's the thing: with R. Kelly and Bill Cosby are way different from Eminem, because Eminem has never hidden himself.
I know.
He's always been who he's been, no matter what has happened.
Exactly.
Bill Cosby hid that side of him. R. Kelly hid that side of him.
He was thinking about
it. Came out and it's like, I canceled the asses from my life. Right. I understand they're not going to be canceled in the world, but M has always been M. If you're going to try and get him for the Rihanna song, go back to Marshall Mathers LP. Go back
to his first one, you sons of bitches.
And that's the thing. They've been trying to cancel M for 20 plus years now. Yeah. He's been protested against and brought up in Congress. Yeah. You think you're going to do it now because you have social media? You don't give a fuck.
Who's the newest one? The damn cartoon character. Pepe Le Pew.
Oh yeah, Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah. So I just heard about that one more recently. I forgot about that too. You said it right now, but because he's like part of rape culture, which I kind of understand because he always made me a little uncomfortable. I'm okay with that one.
Dude, okay. So yes, I understand getting rid of Rapey Le Pew, but there's tons. I saw somebody posted a picture of Monique when they would do the Parkers and how rapey she was with the dudes in the Parkers. Ain't nobody canceling Monique. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of shows where it goes both ways. And you're like, yo, man, she was rapey as fuck. So if you're going to do it, you got to go all the way back in the crates. Now, plus, once again, and I will ask you this one more time, America, who the fuck is watching Looney Tunes cartoons right now? There's 900 different cartoons on TV as we speak. Who the fuck is digging back to watch Looney Tunes cartoons right now? Get the fuck out of here. I never understood that. Why are you trying to cancel some shit that died a long time ago? Because Space Jam coming out? Now they mad because Lola Bunny don't have titties in the new Space Jam? What is wrong with you?
Hey, I wasn't even about those, man. She had some sexy bunny legs.
Dude! She is not Jessica Rabbit. She will not be looked at as a sexual creature. Anyway, so we gotta get up out of here, bro. We gotta ask you the question. We gotta pose this to you, sir. DJ Dvious, who's in your top 5 rappers? Go.
KRS-One, Rakim, Nas, Ghostface, Atmosphere.
Wow.
Nice. I'll take that. Yeah. I like all of it. You know, Atmosphere is one of mine too, so I'll take that.
Matter of fact, I'm excited for the new verses. It's going to be Ghostface versus Rakim or Raekwon.
Oh, okay. Chef versus Iron Man. All right.
Yeah, so it's in a couple weeks. I think in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to that. But I mean, top 5. I mean, that's hard, but that's just off the top of the head right there. And so.
And that's a great top 5. It not only shows a little bit of your age, of course, because we're old school here, but also we know those artists very, very well. And I love the fact that you brought an Atmosphere because nobody seems to bring an Atmosphere but me. And I think that's part of what we connected on at the station.
I think so.
We both like Atmosphere a lot. And it's like no one ever brings up Atmosphere. And when you break down Slug's rhymes for the last 25, 26 years, he's a top lyricist.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Ant is a top producer. Plain and simple. They kill the shows if you ever go. They kill the albums. They've evolved in their music. Yes. Anyway, we go on all the way about that too.
They're dope all the way around. And it's like, I just wish more people knew about them. And it's like, man.
Well, if we keep talking about them, if we keep putting them out there, you keep asking people their top 5, people will look into it. That's the best part about what we do is if you keep their name in existence, somebody will look it up.
Right.
That's how we do it. So we want to thank you for sitting in with us and joining us. We appreciate you. We will definitely check you out when things go back to normal, catch you and jump in on the set, which would be fucking dope just to pop up and hear some good, dope music from a good, dope DJ. Thank you for jumping in. We appreciate you. Where can the people find you, DJ Dvious?
As of right now, just
I mean social media. Like where can they follow?
Social media, Instagram, and catch me at DJ Dvious. Facebook, I think it's just I just go by my first name, Harold Daly. Twitter, I think it's a DJ underscore Dvious.
We gotta do? We gotta get you a clip.
Twitter, I'm never on there, so Instagram is where you can catch me.
Like when people are like, when we're at the radio station, they're like, where can we follow you? I'm like, the real SHAUNQ. You got to get you a girl with an accent. EVIOUS, just something dope like that. Just so you're like, oh, you can find me on.
You know what? It'll work on that. I don't work
There
on
you go.
that.
That's dope. And if you ever see me walk into one of your sets, which I'm hoping we can do sooner than later, because I gotta say, don't tell anybody, but I might be getting my vaccine soon. Anyway, I want to hear you sneak in a little scenario for when I walk in. Like, okay, here he comes.
Once you know what, I real quick, like I'll catch someone wearing a shirt or something like that, goes way back. I'm like, oh, okay, I know what I got for you.
Nice.
And yeah, I'll throw in that scenario. I'll throw in, the KRS-One or, Tribe Called Quest or something,
Nice.
but like not the ones that people know, but like
Right.
I want to see what you actually know.
Them deep cuts.
I'm gonna find something from the B side that, like what do you know about this, And so yeah, but then it it also makes them respected, like, oh, this DJ, he knows his stuff, and it's like they're gonna come back. They're gonna, it may be just for a few songs, a drink here and there, depending on the bartender, but that they're gonna remember it.
Nice.
That's how I win my crowd.
Well, dope, man. I can't wait for that to see that new mixtape. So
yeah,
hell yeah.
Yeah, you guys will definitely get it.
We appreciate you. We will catch up with you soon, DJ.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
We want to thank DJ Dvious for sitting in with us. We appreciate it. We will definitely get him on at some point in time in the future. Right now, let's get into our what the shit. I was going to come up with a cool one like, I do not want them in my books. I do not want those fucking crooks. So, Dr. Seuss, everybody's losing their mind over the Dr. Seuss's estate. Not Dr. Seuss, because he's been dead since the 90s.
Not everybody.
Right.
So-called conservatives.
Dr. Seuss's estate announced that they were going to stop publishing, as in like stop making 6 of his titles. The dude did over 30 fucking books. They were going to stop making 6 of them because of the way they depict certain racist caricatures of African Americans and Africans and Asian people, especially specifically Chinese people. So they said, we don't want this to look bad. We understand these books were written back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on. So we're going to stop making those books. And a lot of people lost their fucking minds to the point where the sales of Dr. Seuss books have skyrocketed. People decide, oh, now I want my kid to read them. I want my kid to see these yellow people. What is wrong with fucking people? It's not like there's 6 books that everybody was out there reading. If I were to ask any big Dr. Seuss fan, like, hey, what are the 6 books? Maybe they could give me 1, possibly 2. Nobody was buying these fucking books. Nobody is going to miss these books. But these people heard, Dr. Seuss, what do you mean? No cat in a hat over my dead body. And they're losing their shit. Am I misreading something, Jay?
Not at all. Because again, when I saw the 6 titles posted and I saw the covers of them, I immediately thought, I don't know those books.
Nobody does.
Most people only know the few 4 to 5, Green Eggs and Ham, the Lorax, Cat in the Hat. They don't know much more than that. They don't know the whole library of Dr. Seuss. Plus, Dr. Seuss as an artist has some raunchy art. It's just what it is. What his stuff was back then, was he racist and all that stuff? I don't know. I haven't read reports. I haven't no one come out. I appreciate the estate coming out and saying, you know what? This is wrong. This was wrong then. We published it. We're going to take it off now. Because the little Asian guy that they have on there has slanted eyes, yellow skin, walking funny or in a funny posture with the little round hat. So like the classic, depiction of how a lot of Asian people looked in movies and stuff like that back then, which, okay, that is obviously wrong these days. I mean, we don't call Asian people yellow people unless you're an asshole, and then they even posted the picture of the African characters, and both Beltran and I were like, those are people? We thought they were animals, but we understood that they were made in an African look, I guess you could say. The grass skirt, the no shoes, the very dark skin, and I think it was big lips or just big mouth. It was all fucked up, you know what I mean? So it reminds me of I want to say like Black Sambo or whatever cartoons that Looney Tunes used to air. And I remember always thinking that those were some of my favorites, not because I understood that they were poor descriptions or depictions of Black people, but I just thought they were cool cartoons. If I watched them now, I would pick them apart and I'd probably trash my TV, because looking at that shit now, I'm like, wait, I was watching that as a kid and it was okay. And here I am now, they don't dare air that stuff. So it's kind of nuts that these people are so up in arms about it, but it's because they want to be against the cancel culture and political correctness and all that. I'm sorry, political correctness is not about being politically correct. It's about respecting others. If someone doesn't want you to call them a certain thing or treat you a certain way, you should treat them the way they want you to. You know what I mean? Like, don't be that asshole. If you want to be a conservative asshole and you want to be treated like that, I'll treat you like that. But I want to be treated with respect. You know, no matter my skin tone, no matter my wife's skin tone, no matter my baby, no matter yours. You know, as a whole. So that's what I'm asking for. There's nothing wrong with that. And these people want to make it a big deal.
Dr. Seuss used to draw cartoons. He used to draw political cartoons before he was doing books or in between. And he would have a few about Asian people and how he depicted Asian people and how he did not like Chinamen, as he called them. That never even a lot of those got published, but they weren't books. So they weren't children's stories. They were just very adultish. So I'm not sure if he was racist, but if you know somebody who was 80 years old in the 90s that wasn't racist, kudos to you. I didn't.
Yeah.
So times change. We got to change with the times. That's just how it goes. Things change, times change. People have a voice now. They can say, hey, that's racist as fuck. Can you fix it, please? They didn't pull all of his books. They didn't cancel Dr. Seuss. And it's not even like the other people did it. It's like his estate was like, yo, we got to pull some of this shit off. The grandpa was low-key racist. We'll just take all this racist shit out. Period.
That's what I thought. The estate did it. It's not like it was a big movement. The estate was like, you know what? We fucked. This is wrong. We're going to take this off. Come
on. In that same vein, those same people are losing their mind over the Potato Head brand. Now, the Potato Head brand came out and they said, we are changing the brand from Mr. Potato Head to just Potato Head. And then they announced later, we are still going to keep Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, but we are also going to introduce other forms of Potato Head to where kids today can adjust them accordingly to relate to what their lives look like now, like two dads or two moms or whatever the fuck. That I am not seeing the problem in that. They just changed the brand to Potato Head. But same thing, people are like, are you out of your fucking mind? They're losing their shit.
Man, they're just trying to make themselves sound cool to a dumbass crowd.
I don't
who think that conservatisveness, all that stuff means like still oppressing someone else and how they feel. You know what I mean? You being conservative should have shit to do with what I want to do with my life or how much government interference I want in my life or not. That has nothing to do with conservatism, whatever the hell I'm trying to say. So it's one of those things like Ted Cruz. He's all about it. And he's out there screaming freedom like Braveheart, being a total idiot about this. The guy probably can't even spell Potato Head. So I don't care what he has to say, but it's like it's people like that trying to speak to the sheep who think that this is a big deal. Now, when I first heard it, I will be honest, I thought that's stupid. Whatever. But then I think more about it. Like ultimately, I don't care. Like it's not a big deal to me. My daughter loves Mr. Potato Head. She's like, oh, I like Mr. Potato. She plays with him at the daycare all the time. But I don't think she's going to give a crap if it's just Potato Head. And I'm not going to change her mind and say it's not Mr. Potato Head, it's Potato Head. I'm going to let her do her thing because they have Mr. and Mrs. and they have the little spuds, you know, that they play with. Like, what the fuck? It's not such a big deal that I even care. I got over it in like 5 seconds.
This is
why these people want to make a big speech about it at like a CPAC thing. I don't know, man.
This is how minuscule this is. This is how unimportant this is. Even if you were to take Barbie and Ken, and you would have been like, we need to get more gender fluid Barbie and Ken dolls. Have you ever?
Ken already doesn't have a dick.
Thank you. Hey, Roman. Do you remember when you played with your first Mr. Potato Head and you had to put his dick in different places? No, he doesn't have a dick. Mrs. Potato Head, she didn't have a. There's not a vagina on Mrs. Potato Head. You can already make one the other. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people? It's not that big of a deal.
Kids do that too. They will put like the Mr. Potato Head hats with the Mr. Potato Head face because they think it's funny.
We all did that. What the fuck? At the end of the day, the same thing that's happening with Aunt Jemima, the same thing that's happening with Uncle Ben, and the same thing that's happening with the Redskins, with the Indians. People are getting so offended by it that they're not looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is you were talking about a brand that was made a long time ago when times were different. That brand, now, if they want to stay up with the times and stay relevant and stay up to date, they have to evolve or they will evaporate, period. And why some old dude gives a fuck about Mr. Potato Head blows my mind. It's not like he was like, I learned how to have sex from my Mr. Potato Head.
Exactly.
You need to go to therapy, motherfucker. This is less about Mr. Potato Head and more about your fucked up sex life.
Yeah.
People,
and ultimately, the kids aren't going to give a shit. They're going to play with it. They're not going to care.
Nobody's using Mr. Potato Head to teach anatomy to their kids. It's
a kid will learn to care and be upset about it because their parents going to be a dumbass like that and be upset about it. You know,
pretty much.
And granted, you know, but to be a little bit more serious about it, and I got a little bit upset about this one myself. Some new news came out about Grace Church School in New York City. They are not exactly banning the words mom and dad, but they are encouraging kids, parents, and teachers and all that to use terms like who are your parents or where are your parents, where are your caregivers. 1 second, it looks like, I think, 1 second, where are your caregivers and stuff like that, instead of using the word parents or mom and dad, because they don't want people to assume everyone has the same thing, because we all don't. If someone would ask where my dad was, I would have said, I don't know. He lives in New York. It would have been that simple. And I don't know how to feel about it. We've had a full episode on it, and it looks like we're going to have to maybe come up and touch on this maybe a little bit further later. Do what you got to do. Grace School, Church School, whatever. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you try and tell my daughter not to call me dad, you might get slapped. Straight up. I like being dad. But then again, that's my, what are the pronouns? I'm a male, I'm a he, a him, whatever, dad. I want to be called that. And I think that's kind of the point. They are making it so that you say what you say, or you let them tell you what to say. And I kind of appreciate that, but I think these are kids, man. They're going to know mom and dad. And some kid might say, oh, I have two moms. Plus it's a Grace Church place, so it's a church school, which means I'm glad that they're inclusive in the language. That's nice and that's progressive of them. But to try and tell a kid, no, don't say mom and dad, or don't ask about mom and dad, ask about parents and caregivers and whatever's, it just seems a bit far to me. It just seems a bit far to me. But I get it. It's inclusive, and I can appreciate that, because believe me, Beltran and I are having these conversations with our daughter on how to explain why boys have penises, and we're trying to not go to the part of some boys don't,
right?
Because she's asking now, why do I have vagina? Why do boys have penises? You know, she's asking these serious questions. So we're trying to approach this in a very, specific way, to not be, for one, bigots and offensive, but also just to be able to explain it to her. But it's hard at this age. She's not going to understand it. She just knows parts are parts, and that's it. So
the minute I hear something like that about what's happening at the school in New York, I associate it with, like you said, like gay couples who have kids. If you don't, it's weird to say, where are your mom and dad? If somebody has two dads or two moms, that part I get. So I think it's less about telling the kids how to designate who their parents are, and more about telling the teachers how to ask about your parents, about your guardians. That makes sense to me. If it's not telling the kids, don't call your mom this, don't call your dad that. No, if it's more about the teachers, when you ask a student, ask them like this, who are your guardians? How do your guardians identify? Like that. Because there's been tons of families where there are no mom or dad around, and the older sibling is raising the family. That's awkward for the kid. Or when that
was me.
Or they do have two same sex parents or same gender, whatever parents. It is confusing when you're like, where are your mom and dad? You're like, well, I got two dads. I don't think one of them wants me to call them mom. So
see, and I really, that's the perspective I think I needed to hear, because I didn't really get to talk to anybody. I just had this in my feelings. I appreciate that. Yeah, teach the teachers to approach it that way, and the kids will learn on their own. They're going to get there on their own.
Kids will call them whatever they call them.
That's perfect. That's
call their parents or their sibling. That's why we do.
I love that's how we do. That's how we do.
This is what we do. We just we give our perspective. We show both sides of the coin, and then we put it to the people. We are going to get up out of your faces. We want to thank you for sitting in with us. Till next time, I'm Shaun Q. Be smart.
Jay Roman, we out.
Keep it old school.